I stood in the kitchen, my fingers clutching the edge of the counter, the tension in my grip evident as my knuckles paled. Across from me, Olivia sat at the table, serene and composed, savoring her tea as if the world around us was untouched by turmoil. She spoke without lifting her gaze, releasing her words into the air as if they held no weight at all. Just so you know, Emma's wedding will be an intimate gathering for family only. She believes it might feel more comfortable if you choose not to be there. A flutter of unease stirred within me, and the atmosphere seemed to thicken, as if the very breath had been drawn away. More graceful? For whom does this resonate? I had been present for each and every precious moment of that girl's journey. Each tender bruise. In those quiet, intimate moments of the night, I found myself by her side, gently placing a cool cloth on her forehead. Each ballet class I invested in, even during the times when finances were strained. Each time her heart ached, I was there to guide her through the shadows, reminding her that the world still held beauty beyond the pain. And now, the wedding of my beloved daughter. The day I had envisioned since her childhood. The day I had envisioned myself guiding her gracefully down the aisle. And I found myself overlooked, not even a name on the list. "I'm her father," I murmured, my voice soft and trembling. It felt as though I was attempting to reassure my heart that it remained a reality. Olivia merely shrugged, her gaze lingering on her tea. "You're being a bit dramatic. It's merely a celebration of love. Simply a celebration of love. The celebration of my daughter's union." The words struck me with an intensity that left me breathless, stirring a desire to express the depth of my hurt, to overturn the calm and make her understand the ache within me. Yet I chose not to. I took it in as I always do, and gazed at her, hoping for a sign, any sign that revealed her feelings. No response arrived. She savored another sip, and in that moment, everything changed. I averted my gaze, a heaviness settling in my chest, and made my way to the living room. My laptop rested on the couch, and in a moment of inspiration, my fingers began to dance across the keys. Santorini, a place where the sun kisses the sea, and the air is filled with whispers of romance. A journey that unfolds over the course of a week. Beyond the confines of this home, away from Olivia's dismissive gestures, and the ache of feeling invisible to my own child. I chose to keep my actions from Olivia. Some things felt too intimate to share with her. I just secured the flight, the villa, everything, my fingers dancing across the screen, as if I were in a hurry to escape before emotions overwhelmed me. As it came to an end, I reclined and released a deep, lingering sigh. I chose not to engage in a dispute. I had no intention of pleading for a place among them. If my presence was unwelcome, then so be it. I would seek a place where I could truly feel alive once more. The following morning, I gathered a few essentials. Simple shirts, comfortable shorts, my well-worn sandals, and left a note resting gently on the counter. "Away for a week. Please refrain from calling unless it's truly urgent." I closed the door behind me without a glance back. The journey to the airport was like releasing a burden that had lingered for far too long. I found myself revisiting Olivia's words in my mind, each iteration stirring a deeper intensity within me, causing my jaw to tighten with unspoken emotion. What could possibly make my presence feel uncomfortable? I had nurtured Emma. I was the one who devoted the entire night to crafting that dollhouse she had dreamed of for Christmas when she was just 6 years old. The one who accompanied her to every recital. The one who whispered to her that she was whole, even when a careless heart had shattered her own in those tender high school days. What comes next? I felt like an observer, standing apart from the world around me. As I stepped onto the plane, my mind had finally found its peace. The gentle thrum of the engines enveloped me, quieting the chaos within, as I gazed out the window, watching the earth recede beneath me. Santorini beckoned with its azure waters and pristine white houses, a sanctuary where I could shed the weight of being the one who never measured up to his family's expectations. I was uncertain about what awaited me, yet one truth lingered in my heart. I refused to allow them to break my spirit. Not her. Not her. No one else. I had devoted so much time to being the anchor, yet they overlooked the depth of my devotion. As the plane ascended, a stirring sensation awakened within me. Not tranquility, not at this moment, yet a glimmer of something fresh. I may not have been included in their plans, yet here I stand, present and aware. And I was determined to unravel the meaning of it all, embracing each day as it came, beginning with that initial step off the plane into a world that remained unaware of the depth of my pain. I emerged from the taxi, my feet meeting the cool stone path that guided me to my villa. The gentle warmth of the Santorini sun caressed my face, while the driver followed closely, carrying my bag with a quiet grace. The Aegean Sea lay beneath me, shimmering as if it were revealing its beauty solely for my gaze, while the sunlit white walls of the cliffside radiated against the azure expanse above. The air was infused with the scent of salt, intertwined with a hint of sweetness, perhaps from blooming flowers or the essence of liberation itself. The gentleman at the check-in desk offered me a key along with a glass of champagne, his smile suggesting he understood my unspoken desires. I accepted it with a nod and made my way to my room, gently pushing the door open to reveal a scene that left me momentarily breathless. The expansive windows embraced the ocean view, while a charming balcony seemed to float just above the cliff's edge. I let my bag slip from my grasp as I stepped into the open air, the gentle breeze playfully caressing my shirt. Back home, Emma was likely immersed in arranging centerpieces, those exquisite ones Olivia had been messaging her about, the very ones I had caught snippets of their plans for months ago when I was still woven into the fabric of their lives. Olivia was probably capturing moments at the bridal shower, showcasing that radiant smile she had honed over the years, effortlessly drawing attention to herself. What about me? I found myself here, 1,000 miles from home, enveloped by the soothing rhythm of the waves and the crisp effervescence of champagne dancing in my hand. I slipped off my shoes, rested my feet on the balcony railing, and gazed out at the shimmering water. The stillness enveloped me, a serene contrast to the chaos that had filled my life for so long. In this moment, there are no conflicts, no expectations, no voices urging me to mend what's broken or to bear the weight of obligations in silence. I took my phone, captured a moment of my bare feet resting against the vast blue, and shared it online with the words, "Silence looks good on me." I hardly gave it a second thought, perhaps a gentle nudge, or simply a means to capture the essence of that moment. Before long, my cousin James appeared in the comments, sharing a cascade of laughing emojis and a playful, "Living your best life." Huh? My sister Sophia reached out to me almost immediately. "Oh, I thought you were meant to be at the wedding, didn't you?" I chose to remain silent in that moment. Not at this moment. I found myself unprepared to share the pain of being excluded, how my own daughter chose to leave me out of the most significant moment of her life. Olivia and Emma, a captivating duo? There has been a complete absence from them. Silence lingers with no messages, no calls, and no affection shown on the image. I lingered for a moment, savoring my drink, my gaze fixed on the screen, anticipating a message, perhaps a simple inquiry of your whereabouts, or even a gentle wish for your well-being. Yet their silence resonated more profoundly than the ocean's roar. I placed the phone aside and reclined in the chair, allowing the gentle warmth of the sun to caress my face. Wonderful. Allow them to embrace their quietude. It wasn't something I truly required. I caught the eye of a passing waiter and beckoned for another drink, craving something with a bit more warmth this time. A whiskey on the rocks. The glass shimmered as the ice danced within, and I savored a deliberate sip, feeling the warmth cascade down my throat. The villa was intimate yet ideal, with its white walls, a bed adorned with fresh sheets, and a quaint table where I could linger and observe the world unfold around me. The absence of a plan for the week felt liberating, a gentle embrace of spontaneity that brought a sense of joy. Free from the constraints of time and duty, it's just me and the essence of this place. For a fleeting moment, my mind wandered to the warmth of home, to the familiar kitchen where Olivia had shared that life-altering news with such ease, and to the vacant space that once welcomed my car with open arms. Then I gently set it aside in my thoughts. They were wrapped up in their wedding, their unfolding drama, their life that seemed to leave me on the outside. Very well. I would create something uniquely mine. The sun began its gentle descent, casting hues of orange and pink across the sky. As I lingered there, glass in hand, captivated by its slow embrace with the water. The gentle buzz of my phone stirred me once more, likely a message from James, or perhaps Sophia reaching out to see how I am. I chose to overlook it. This was my moment, my perspective, my tranquility. I refused to allow anyone to draw me back into the chaos I had finally left behind. The whiskey caressed my senses. The breeze wrapped around me like a gentle embrace, and for the first time in ages, I felt free from the weight of expectations. I completed the drink, placed the glass aside, and tilted my head back, surrendering to the moment as I closed my eyes. The gentle rhythm of the waves embraced me, a soothing lull that invited my spirit to drift along with their flow. Nothing happening back home held any significance. The perspective was more enchanting from this spot, and I intended to savor each moment fully. 3 days into my Santorini escape, I found myself lounging on a plush cushion by the villa's infinity pool, when the tranquility I had cultivated began to unravel. The sun hung brightly in the sky, a gentle warmth enveloping me as I relaxed with a chilled beer, its cool droplets sliding down my fingers while I gazed at the glistening water below. Everything felt just right, a serene stillness that enveloped me, allowing me to inhale deeply without the weight of others' expectations pressing down on me. Then my phone vibrated softly. I cast a fleeting glance at it, hoping for a message from Sophia or perhaps a light-hearted quip from James. It was indeed James, but the message carried a weight that felt far from humorous. Reach out to me as soon as you can. You won't be able to fathom this. A gentle flutter stirred within me, yet I chose to set it aside. Whatever it may be, it can linger a little longer. I savored the coolness of my beer, leaning back as I let my eyes flutter shut, seeking refuge from the bright light around me. Then it vibrated once more. 3 missed calls from Olivia, each illuminating the screen in a way that felt almost urgent. Before I could fully grasp the moment, Emma's name illuminated my screen, signaling a call. I allowed it to resonate, observing the moments unfold until silence enveloped it. Then Olivia once more, twice again. My phone transformed into a battleground, and I found myself frozen, gazing at it, the beer losing its spark on my tongue. What on earth was happening? I wasn't ready to discover, not at this moment. Not when I had finally discovered a place in the world that embraced me gently, rather than suffocating me. I silenced the device, turned it face down on the table, and settled back onto the lounger, yearning to reclaim the tranquility I had just moments before. The pool water caressed the edge softly, and I immersed myself in that sensation, in the gentle breeze that kissed my skin, in the faint, melodic hum of a boat drifting somewhere beyond the horizon. Yet my thoughts remained restless. What were they whispering now? After days of silence, no messages, no gentle inquiries about my absence. In an instant, my phone was alive with their messages, each one pulling me deeper into a whirlwind of emotions. I reached for it once more, curiosity pulling me in, and noticed the notifications accumulating. Voicemails from Olivia, a simple text from Emma that read, "Dad?" with an air of uncertainty, and even a missed call from my brother-in-law David, who only reaches out in moments of inebriation or distress. It felt as if they had all suddenly become aware of my presence, and I found myself caught in a whirlwind of emotions, uncertain whether to embrace the anger, savor the satisfaction, or simply succumb to weariness. I placed the phone down with a bit more force, then reached for my beer, savoring the moment as I finished it in one smooth, satisfying gulp. If my presence at Emma's wedding wasn't valued, then why should their actions hold the power to disrupt my happiness? For years, I was the one who answered the call, the one who set aside my own life to mend their troubles. Olivia's conflicts, Emma's emergencies, David's reckless choices. This moment is different. I gestured to the waiter passing by and requested another beer, my voice calm despite the flutter in my chest. He delivered it swiftly, and I opened it, his presence slicing through the stillness. I savored the taste and gazed at the horizon, attempting to quiet the swirling thoughts in my mind. They had decided when they chose to leave me off that list. Olivia with her delicate shrugs, Emma wrapped in her quietude. They no longer held the power to determine my significance. I envisioned them at home, likely in a flurry as they faced unexpected challenges, believing that their dependable father would come to the rescue once more. Perhaps the flowers were absent, the cake arrived later than expected, or an unthoughtful remark slipped out during the rehearsal dinner. Whatever it may have been, it held no weight in my heart. I reclined, feeling the sun's gentle caress on my skin, allowing my thoughts to drift to the uncomplicated pleasures around me. The crisp flavor of the beer, the water shimmering like polished glass, and the blissful realization that I was free, unburdened by time or obligation. The soft buzz of my phone reverberated against the table. Yet I remained unmoved, lost in my own thoughts. Allow it to resonate. Allow them to express their urgency through their messages. I had ceased to be their source of comfort. I finished the beer, placed the empty can aside, and reclined on the lounger, my arms resting comfortably behind my head. The pool shimmered invitingly before me, while the vast sea unfolded endlessly in the distance. This was my sanctuary, my moment, and they had no place in it. I closed my eyes, feeling the warmth envelop me, and chose to set them aside for now, perhaps until tomorrow or perhaps never at all. In this moment, I felt a sense of completion. The phone could vibrate endlessly. I wasn't quite embracing it. I awoke to the gentle melody of waves caressing the shore beneath my villa, the morning sun softly filtering through the curtains, enveloping the room in a warm embrace. It was day 4 in Santorini, and I began to sense a transformation within me, a lightness that suggested I had shed more than just a suitcase. I stretched, rolled out of bed, and padded barefoot to the balcony, coffee in hand, allowing the gentle sea air to awaken my senses fully. My phone had remained silent since the flood of calls yesterday, and I felt no urgency to bring it back to life. Any chaos that awaited me could linger in the shadows. As I savored my coffee, my gaze drifted to a fishing boat gently swaying on the horizon. It was then that I succumbed to temptation and turned on my device, convincing myself it was merely to check the time. The screen glowed softly with a flurry of notifications, yet one captured my attention. A heartfelt message from Emma, sent at the tender hour of 3 a.m., the moment she embraces. Dad, I long to hear your voice. I made a mistake. That was the moment. Only silence, only those words gazing back at me, evoking a deep sense of longing. I placed the phone aside and inhaled deeply, feeling the moment envelop me. My intuition whispered that something significant had unfolded, yet I wasn't prepared to immerse myself just yet. I savored my coffee, taking my time with each sip, allowing the rich bitterness to anchor me in the moment. As I traced my fingers over the screen, I lingered on the missed calls and voicemails. Olivia, David, even Aunt Noelle. Yet I chose not to listen to their voices. Instead, I reached out to James. He answered on the second ring, his voice warm and playful. You chose the ideal moment to slip away, he said, a playful smile dancing on his lips. That enchanting celebration? A complete catastrophe. I leaned against the railing, the phone cradled to my ear, absorbing every word as he revealed his thoughts. It seems that Emma and Daniel couldn't hold on until the cake cutting, as everything unraveled before their eyes. Daniel stumbled upon messages on her phone from her ex, late-night whispers from the eve of the wedding, and felt a surge of emotions overwhelm him. They clashed in full view of the crowd, voices rising, while guests shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Then Daniel's mother interjected, her voice rising as she directed her anger towards Olivia, accusing her of having coerced Emma into the marriage, or something along those lines. David, as always, succumbed to the allure of the drink, his voice rising in a passionate plea to the DJ for a melody that resonated with his heart. James mentioned that many of the guests slipped away before the first dance, while the others lingered, observing the unfolding chaos as if caught in a disheartening film. No grand speeches, no dazzling send-off, no fairy tale conclusion, just a tangled web of emotions. I stood there, the sun ascending, enveloped in a curious blend of emptiness. There's an emptiness, a quiet stillness where emotions once danced, leaving only a void where I expected to feel something profound. So yes, James wrapped up, a soft laugh lingering in the air. You really didn't miss much. I expressed my gratitude, ended the call, and found myself gazing at Emma's message once more. I made a mistake. Indeed, she did. Yet, this time it was not my role to mend it. I could envision it vividly, Olivia twirling about, attempting to mend the situation with her forced smile, Emma weeping softly into her bouquet, while everyone searched for a scapegoat. What about me? I was absent from that moment. They had taken every measure to ensure it. I placed the phone gently aside and stepped back indoors, my fingers brushing against the soft fabric of a towel as I reached for my sandals. I chose not to return her call. I also didn't reach out to Olivia. Instead, I arranged for a massage at the villa spa, indulging in the warmth of hot stones, an experience I had never taken the time to explore before. The woman at the desk offered a warm smile, assuring me that I would emerge transformed, as if reborn. That felt right, I mused. That is precisely what I desire. The air in the massage room was infused with the soothing scent of lavender, and the warmth of the table embraced my back as I reclined, feeling the therapist's skilled hands work gently to release the tension from my shoulders. I closed my eyes and allowed my thoughts to wander, away from the wedding, away from Emma's tears and Olivia's justifications, and instead focused on the soothing sound of the sea beyond, the refreshing sensation of the air enveloping me here. They had envisioned their perfect day, a dream woven with hope, but reality unraveled it before their eyes. I held a quiet confidence, neither boastful nor regretful. For years, I was the anchor, the one who kept the pieces in place, soothing the tensions, ensuring that everyone found their way through the storms. And in that fleeting moment I turned away, everything began to unravel. Perhaps I should have felt a sense of being cherished, yet it eluded me. It filled me with warmth, reminding me of the beauty of this moment, away from that place. The massage concluded, and I stepped outside feeling unburdened, as if a gentle weight had been lifted, the sun still shining brightly above me. I picked up a euro from a nearby stand, its warmth and slight grease inviting, and settled onto a bench with a view of the water, savoring each bite with deliberate slowness. The silence of my phone lingered softly in my pocket. I chose not to revisit it. Whatever they desired, it could linger for a while longer. They would find their way, or perhaps they wouldn't. In any case, I had reached the end of that path. As I sat on the balcony that evening, the sky transformed into a rich shade of purple, while the sun gracefully sank below the horizon. My phone illuminated once more. The evening breeze was gentle, and I cradled a glass of rich red wine in my hand, the kind the waiter suggested, crisp and bold, just as I preferred. As I wandered along the cliffs, the sun warmed my skin, gently melting away the remnants of tension that had lingered in my chest. With each step, I began to sense that this journey was evolving into something deeper than mere escape. Then Olivia's name illuminated the screen, 3 voicemails, one after another, recorded sometime that afternoon. I let out a soft sigh, placing the wine gently on the table, my gaze lingering on it for a moment as I contemplated the choice before me. Intrigue took the lead. I pressed play on the first track, and her voice enveloped me, crisp and intimate, as if she were gently admonishing me from afar. I find myself at a loss, unsure of your whereabouts. Yet this situation feels utterly absurd. If only you had been here, perhaps Emma wouldn't have felt so trapped. Please return my call. The second one was gentler, yet still laced with that tone she employed when she wished to evoke a sense of guilt within me. I apologize, truly. I never imagined it would unfold in such a way. We really need to have a conversation. The third was brief, sharp, as if she were frustrated that I hadn't eagerly responded to the first 2. Very well. Continue to overlook our presence. This isn't serving anyone's needs. I reclined in the chair, allowing the words to envelop me. Feeling trapped? What if I had been present in that moment? So now it seems I am to blame. My absence became the catalyst for the unraveling of their seemingly flawless wedding. I nearly chuckled, but the sound faltered in my throat, transforming into a sharp, bitter exhale. She had a talent for turning situations, making me feel like the villain for not fitting into a space they never truly desired me in. Then Emma reached out to me through FaceTime. Her name appeared, the soft chime breaking the stillness around me. I observed it vibrate, her image illuminating the screen, that cherished snapshot from her high school graduation when she embraced me effortlessly, without a second thought. I pressed decline and gently laid the phone face down. My chest constricted, yet I quelled the sensation with a sip of wine, allowing its warmth to wash over me and dissolve the tension. They never had the chance to experience this. Not at this moment, not after they had so openly expressed that I was not included in their vision. A few moments later, a message arrived from Aunt Noelle, Olivia's sister, the one who always seemed to possess an air of knowing everything. Hey, I just wanted to share that the outcome might have felt different if you had been here to maintain that harmony. Emma is in a state of disarray. Reach out to her. Maintain the harmony. That's how they referred to it. I was the steady presence, the one who soothed the tensions, who managed the responsibilities, who navigated the journey, ensuring that everyone emerged from the chaos they had created. For years, I had embraced the role of the one who brings harmony. The man who remained calm when Olivia raised her voice, who chose to stay when Emma fell silent in her gratitude. And now, as I finally distanced myself, they came to understand how much I meant to them. It's already past the moment. I savored the last sip of wine before filling my glass once more, the gentle sound of the bottle meeting the rim creating a delicate melody. The sea had deepened into darkness, a gentle glimmer of moonlight dancing upon the waves. As I sat there, allowing the stillness to envelop me, I might have reached out again. I could have reached out to Emma, offered her my ear as she wept, and reassured her that everything would be all right, just as I always did. I might have responded to Olivia, allowing her to persuade me to return and help untangle their turmoil. Yet I chose not to. For the first time, I felt a gentle release, a soothing calm that allowed me to simply be, without the urge to fix what was broken. I cherished this, the space, the liberation, the sense that I was no longer bound by any obligations to them. I reflected on the wedding, the words James had shared with me, the way Daniel had abruptly left, Olivia's frantic movements, and Emma's emotional unraveling. I could see it so vividly, their eyes searching, anticipating my arrival, hoping I would weave my magic once more, just as I had countless times before. Yet I was absent and they found themselves lost in how to navigate the situation. Delightful. Allow them the space to discover their own path. I rose, allowing my body to unfurl, and glided back indoors, leaving the phone resting on the table behind me. The villa exuded a serene calmness, the bed inviting with its fresh, white linens, ready to embrace. Tonight, I felt no obligation to be their savior, not now, not in the future. I settled in, the warmth of the wine lingering within me, and let my eyes drift shut. They had decided their path when they excluded me from that list, and I had chosen mine the moment I boarded that plane. Should they seek my presence at this moment, patience would be their only companion. I was ready to step away from being the one always waiting in the wings. Slumber enveloped me effortlessly, and thoughts of them faded into the night. As I sat at a charming seaside restaurant that evening, with its unsteady wooden tables and lanterns dancing softly in the gentle breeze, my phone suddenly rang. The air was infused with the briny scent of the sea and the warmth of grilled delicacies. Before me lay a vibrant plate of fresh seafood, tender octopus, succulent shrimp, and a delicate white fish whose name eluded me, all elegantly dressed in a drizzle of olive oil and a hint of lemon. I had immersed myself in the crystalline waters of a black sand beach, surrendering to the gentle embrace of the waves until exhaustion washed over me, leaving my thoughts adrift. Now, with a glass of chilled white wine cradled in my hand, I felt a warmth within, a sense of contentment that enveloped me, as if I was gracefully embracing this new chapter of who I am. The phone vibrated softly on the table, and I caught a glimpse of Rose's name illuminating the screen. I hesitated, reluctant to disrupt the magic of this moment, yet an inner voice urged me to respond. "Hey," I murmured, reclining in the chair. She skipped the greeting, laughter spilling from her lips, so rich and vibrant that her words danced just out of reach. "Oh my goodness. You missed an incredible performance." She finally succeeded, her voice trembling with joy. It was truly captivating to witness their awakening to the reality of life in your absence, as they began to understand the delicate threads that once held everything in harmony. I placed the wine gently on the table, a smile playing on my lips, and leaned in as she shared her thoughts with an open heart. After the wedding unraveled, the situation deepened into something more challenging. Emma found herself overwhelmed in front of the guests, tears cascading down her cheeks, her mascara smudging, as Daniel turned away, leaving her alone in her flowing white dress. Olivia attempted to maintain her composure, moving gracefully with a delicate smile. Yet Sophia noticed the underlying turmoil reflected in her eyes. She searched for a guiding presence, someone to embrace the situation, and then a realization washed over her. I was the only one to ever do that, even from 3,000 miles away. Sophia's laughter danced through the phone, vividly illustrating the scene. "David," his words tumbling out in a haze, directing jabs at the bartender, while Aunt Noelle's voice, a conspiratorial whisper yet unmistakably loud, placed the blame squarely on Olivia. The DJ, sensing the stillness, began to gather his equipment, the absence of movement on the dance floor palpable in the air. "They felt lost in your absence," Sophia whispered, her breath coming in soft, uneven waves. It felt akin to observing a flurry of tiny beings scatter in chaos when you disturb their world. I pierced a tender piece of octopus with my fork, savoring each bite as her words enveloped me, allowing them to resonate deeply within. I found myself unperturbed. In truth, I had always been the anchor, the one who remained calm and composed while others swayed in the storm. Amidst the celebrations of birthdays and the warmth of holidays, I found myself navigating the tensions that arose, ensuring the glow of the lights remained steady and the echoes of discord faded away. And now, in my absence, they have fallen apart. I felt no sympathy for them. A sense of contentment washed over me, perhaps, as if fate had gracefully arrived, perfectly timed. Emma wept for an hour, while Sophia continued on. Olivia repeatedly expressed, "You should have been here," as if that alone could have changed everything. "But do you feel it? They only sought your presence when it became essential to them." She lingered for a moment, then softly said, "I'm proud of you for choosing to remain away." I savored the food, the vibrant lemon slicing through the indulgence, and lifted a glass of wine to my lips. "Yes," I whispered, my voice soft and intimate. "Same here." We shared a few more words, touching on her children, reminiscing about the weather back home, and then we said our goodbyes. I lingered in the soft embrace of the evening, the gentle rhythm of the waves harmonizing with the delicate clatter of dishes from the kitchen. The restaurant held a quiet intimacy, with only a handful of locals sharing soft laughter over their beers. I appreciated the cozy atmosphere, a comforting distance from the world I had momentarily set aside. I envisioned Emma in her dress, tears streaming down her face, while Olivia wove her justifications, and for the first time, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. It didn't draw me in. It filled me with a warm sense of gratitude for being present, savoring this meal, enjoying this wine, and embracing a life that remained untouched by them. I took my time with the meal, relishing each bite, the shrimp a delightful blend of salty and sweet, the fish tender and delicate. The waiter gracefully offered me another glass of wine, and I acknowledged his gesture with a subtle nod of appreciation. The bill arrived, and I settled it with cash, generously leaving a substantial tip, simply because I felt the urge to share a little extra warmth. I strolled back to the villa beneath a tapestry of stars, the path meandering along the cliff, my sandals softly brushing against the stones. As I entered, I slipped off my shoes, poured a final glass from the bottle resting on the counter, and stepped out onto the balcony. The sea stretched out before me, a dark expanse that seemed infinite, as I stood there, allowing the gentle breeze to caress my skin. Rose's laughter lingered in my thoughts, and I found myself smiling, truly smiling, a warmth that illuminated my eyes. I nestled into bed, the cool sheets embracing me, and drifted into a deep, restorative sleep like I hadn't experienced in years. They had come to understand my value, yet I had discovered it as well, and I had no intention of relinquishing it. I awoke to the gentle melody of birds singing outside the villa, a soft morning symphony that seemed to embrace the world as it stirred to life alongside me. The sun began to rise, its golden light spilling softly across the sea, while I lingered for a moment, gazing at the ceiling, allowing the stillness to envelop me. It was day 6 in Santorini, and I had embraced the gentle rhythm of waking up without an alarm, free from the interruptions of a busy life or the sound of someone calling my name. I slipped out of bed, brewed a pot of coffee, and carried it to the balcony, the warmth of the mug in my hand dispelling the lingering morning chill. I was savoring my first sip when I felt the urge to check my phone, not out of desire, but because I knew I couldn't avoid them indefinitely. An email from Olivia waiting arrived, sent in the quiet hours of the night. Her words flowed onto the screen, unadorned and raw, as if the formalities held no weight for her. Your message has been received. Please return home. I long to share my thoughts with you. I read it twice, allowing the words to envelop me, and sensed a tension in my jaw. Have I conveyed my thoughts clearly? As if this were merely a game, as though I had journeyed across the globe solely to impart a lesson to her. There's no need for apologies or admissions of fault, just that familiar cadence lingering in the air, as if I were a child who had run away in a fit of emotion, needing to find my way back to calmness. I placed the mug gently on the surface and gazed out at the water, where the waves moved in a rhythmic, soothing dance. She couldn't quite grasp it. She remained convinced this was a journey for her. For them, a quest to mend what had been shattered. Moments later, a message from Emma arrived, a lengthy one, arriving an hour after Olivia's email. I opened it, and her words flowed forth, enveloping me in their warmth. Father, I deeply regret what has happened. I never intended for things to unfold in this manner. I allowed Mom and Daniel's family to persuade me into the family-only gathering, and I now realize it was a mistake. I wish I had stood up for you to be by my side. I would love to hear from you. This brings me such discomfort. I read it again, taking my time, and sensed a fleeting emotion, perhaps guilt or sadness, but it vanished just as swiftly. Regret washed over her, a bittersweet acknowledgement of the chaos that ensued, a realization that she struggled to navigate the aftermath without my presence by her side. But where was that apology when she was crafting the list? When she allowed Olivia to dismiss me as if I were insignificant? I chose not to respond. I chose not to reach out. I crafted a response to Olivia, concise and pointed, deciding to prolong my stay. I pressed send, switched off my phone, and reclined in the chair, the warmth of the coffee enveloping my hands. Allow them to linger in that moment. Allow them to linger in the quiet they once offered me. I set my cup down, rising gracefully as I slipped into my sandals and draped a light jacket over my shoulders. I wandered without a destination, seeking the embrace of the earth beneath my feet and the gentle caress of the breeze against my skin. The streets of Oia stirred gently to life, shopkeepers brushing away the remnants of night, while visitors captured the enchanting contrast of white domes set against the vast, azure sky. I meandered through the winding alleys, the cobblestones shifting beneath my feet, lost in contemplation of how they remained oblivious to it all. Olivia believed I would return to her side simply because she wished it. Emma believed that a delayed apology could soothe the lingering ache. They failed to see that this was not merely a fit of frustration. It was my moment of embracing my own worth. I paused at a quaint cafe, indulged in a delicate pastry and a warm cup of coffee, and settled outside, observing the gentle flow of life around me. The pastry was delicate, infused with the sweetness of honey and the crunch of nuts, and I savored each bite, allowing the crumbs to scatter freely around me. Back home, they were likely wandering restlessly, Olivia softly murmuring about my stubbornness, while Emma anxiously nibbled at her nails, a familiar sign of her unease. I could nearly sense their presence. He will find his way back. He always knows how to make it happen. Yet I found myself in a different reality. This moment is different. I settled the bill and continued my stroll, the sun ascending, enveloping the stones in a gentle warmth. I discovered a serene place with a view of the caldera, a simple low wall separating me from the vast sea below, and settled in, letting my legs hang freely over the edge. The breeze swirled around me, playfully dancing with my hair, and I surrendered to the moment, allowing it to envelop my senses. They had woven their lives together, Olivia with her soothing tea and gentle dismissals, Emma with her carefully curated guest list and quiet sorrows. Now they could bask in its warmth. I had stepped away from being their support. I rose, brushing off my hands, and made my way back to the villa, the day unfolding before me like a promise. I might indulge in a swim later, perhaps savoring a meal at a new place. My phone remained silent in my pocket, and I chose not to look at it again. They could linger in the moment. I'd spent years jumping when they called. Now it was my moment to embrace life, and they would need to discover how to navigate their journey in my absence. I awoke once more to the gentle embrace of dawn, the Santorini sun filtering through the shutters, casting delicate stripes of light that danced across the floor. On the 7th day of my stay, I found myself embracing the serene mornings, the aroma of coffee filling the air, the gentle murmur of the sea outside, and the blissful absence of anyone demanding my attention or stirring me from my slumber. I lifted my mug and stepped onto the balcony, the night air lingering with a gentle coolness. I settled into my seat, allowing the comforting warmth of the cup to envelop my hands. The view remained familiar, the blue water and white cliffs. Yet today it resonated with a new depth, as if I were perceiving it with heightened clarity. Perhaps it was because I was beginning to understand myself more deeply as well. I savored the warmth of the coffee, taking my time, allowing my thoughts to drift not towards Olivia's emails or Emma's messages, but deeper, reflecting on the years I had quietly blended into the shadows of their existence. As I sat there, the waves crashing below, a realization washed over me. How long I had lingered in the shadows unseen. I reflected on my birthdays, those moments when they seemed to overlook the day until the very end. Olivia would hand me a card hastily picked up from the gas station, while Emma would casually mention, "Oh yes, happy birthday, Dad," as if it were merely an afterthought. I recalled how they would present me at gatherings, simply as Dad, as if I were an overlooked part of the background, something you only truly appreciate when it's no longer there. Olivia had a unique ability to illuminate every space she entered, her laughter resonating, her tales grand, while Emma absorbed it all from an early age, discovering her own brilliance as I remained in the background, calm and unwavering, managing the responsibilities. I had traversed the city countless times, collecting Emma from her dance classes in the rain, tending to Olivia's car when it faltered, and carrying boxes whenever they felt inspired to transform their space on a whim. I had covered everything: the ballet shoes, the prom dresses, that elegant dinner for Emma's graduation, where gratitude flowed more towards the waiter than to me, and the beautiful turmoil of it all, the beautiful chaos. In every clash they faced, each moment Olivia would leave in a huff or Emma would shut her door with force. I was the one who soothed the tension, who gently guided them back to harmony, ensuring that our home remained a sanctuary amidst the chaos. They would chuckle about it later, "Oh, Dad's so dull, always so earnest," and I would smile, reflecting that this was simply the way things were. I reclined in the chair, the warmth of the coffee fading, my gaze lost in the endless expanse of the sea. They labeled it as mundane, this role I played, ensuring harmony, making certain their needs were met. I had always been the silent observer in their stories, the one who provided the canvas for them to create their own vibrant narratives. And what was it that I received? A gentle lift of the shoulders, a more graceful reason, a gathering where my name has faded away. I placed the mug gently on the surface and rose, making my way to the balcony's edge, the stone cool and textured beneath my fingertips. I reflected on the wedding, the way they orchestrated it in my absence, how they shared laughter and captured moments, never once considering my feelings. I had envisioned that day for countless years, guiding Emma down the aisle, raising a glass in celebration, and experiencing a profound sense of significance. Yet, their perspective remained different. They perceived me as the one who would always arrive, ready to mend what was broken, willing to bear the burden in silence. Not any longer. I stepped back inside, slipped on my sandals, and made my way out into the world. The streets of Oia stirred to life once more, as vendors' voices floated through the air, inviting and warm. The warm aroma of freshly baked bread wafting gently from a nearby bakery. I wandered aimlessly, allowing my feet to guide me through the sunlit, whitewashed alleys, feeling the warmth of the day embrace me as the sun ascended higher in the sky. I wandered past a quaint shop adorned with vibrant paintings, each capturing the essence of the sea, and paused to observe the artist gently working on a canvas. He remained unaware of my presence, absorbed in his tasks, enveloped in his own realm. I longed for that experience, to be immersed in something profound, rather than merely supporting it for another's sake. I continued my stroll, the cobblestones radiating warmth beneath my feet, until I discovered a bench that offered a view of the shimmering water. I sat there, the wind playfully teasing my shirt, allowing my thoughts to flow freely, reflecting on the years spent as a silent observer, the moments when I was overlooked, and the times I allowed it to happen. It was more than just the wedding. It encompassed all that one could desire. I had offered them my time, my resources, my understanding, yet they returned nothing, not even a place to belong. I lingered there for what felt like an eternity, the sun tracing its path across the sky, until the soft rumble of my stomach reminded me of my forgotten hunger. I rose from my slumber, wandered to a charming taverna, and indulged in a plate of succulent grilled fish accompanied by a refreshing beer. The meal was unpretentious yet delightful, enjoyed in solitude as I gazed at the sea. I was not merely a part of the scenery in this moment. I was the one savoring, indulging, experiencing life, and I had no intention of returning to that old role, not for Olivia, not for Emma, not for anyone at all. The soothing sound of the sea greeted me once more, a gentle and rhythmic whisper that beckoned me from the warmth of my bed. On the 8th day in Santorini, a transformation began to unfold within me. The burdens I had borne for so long started to ease, not in a rush, but gently, as if each moment was releasing a fragment of my past. I prepared my coffee, just like I always do, and carried it to the balcony, where the gentle morning sun caressed my face. The air was infused with a clean, salty essence, and as I sipped slowly, I allowed the warmth to envelop me, stirring my senses awake. Today unfolded with a sense of freedom, as if the world was inviting me to explore. I chose to wander to the beach, seeking a tranquil spot, far from the bustling throngs. I took a towel, slipped on my sandals, and filled a bottle with water, then strolled down the meandering path from the villa, the cool stone caressing my feet. The beach was intimate, nestled between the cliffs, with dark sand that sparkled softly in the sunlight. The scene was quiet, with only a handful of locals scattered about, and a solitary woman by the water's edge, lost in the pages of her book. I let my belongings fall to the ground, slipped off my shoes, and stepped into the water, feeling the refreshing waves gently caress my legs. I floated for a time, allowing the gentle pull of the water to embrace me, experiencing a sense of strength and liberation that had eluded me for years. As I returned to the shore, my skin glistening with droplets of salt water, the woman glanced up from her book and offered a gentle smile, one that felt familiar, as if our paths had crossed before. "Did you enjoy your swim?" she inquired, her voice rich and inviting, tinged with an unfamiliar allure. "Indeed," I whispered, reaching for my towel. "The most delightful moment of the day thus far." Her laughter danced in the air as we engaged in light conversation, sharing thoughts about the island, the shimmering water, and the way the sun caressed the cliffs. Her name was Harper, a widow journeying on her own, and there was a serene quality about her, as if she had experienced enough to understand the essence of what truly matters. We lingered on the sand, the gentle waves caressing the shore, sharing our stories with a soft intimacy. She shared her journey of nurturing her son, reflecting on the bittersweet moment he ventured off to university, leaving her with a quiet, empty home. I shared with her the story of Emma, not the wedding just yet, but the tender beginnings, the enchanting recitals, and the intimate late-night conversations. We both understood the depth of investing our hearts into a child, only to witness them create a life that unfolds beyond our reach. There was a gentle ease to it, an absence of expectation, just two souls intertwining in a shared experience. The sun ascended gracefully, and we chose to indulge in a refreshing drink at a quaint shack along the shore. We ordered a glass of white wine, its crispness refreshing, and settled at a charmingly worn table, the vast sea unfolding before us. Her laughter danced in the air, and I found myself captivated by the way her eyes sparkled and crinkled with joy. Our conversation deepened, exploring the weariness that comes with always bearing the weight of responsibility, and how it's possible to hold love in your heart while still recognizing the need to release. I chose not to share the details of the guest list or Olivia's emails with her, and somehow, it felt unnecessary. She understood it deeply, the gentle longing of solitude, the soothing comfort of discovering your own haven. The afternoon lingered, gentle and unhurried, and as the sun began its descent, we strolled back to the water, wine glasses cradled in our hands. We lingered there, our feet gently caressed by the cool water, as we admired the sky transforming into hues of orange and pink, then deepening into a rich purple. We exchanged few words, allowing the silence to envelop us, a soothing presence that felt genuine and intimate. For the first time in forever, I found myself free from the longing to be needed, no longer yearning for recognition. In that moment, I found myself enveloped by her presence and the gentle embrace of the sea, and it felt like everything I needed. As the darkness enveloped us, we exchanged a quiet goodnight, devoid of promises or plans, just a gentle nod and a soft smile lingering in the air. I strolled back to the villa, the night air gently caressing my skin, a sense of lightness enveloping me, as if the weight of the days had finally lifted. I filled my glass with the last of the wine and stepped onto the balcony, where the stars shimmered brilliantly above me. I took a moment to capture myself, sunglasses perched, a glass of wine cradled in my hand, the deep ocean stretching behind me. I shared it with a caption that whispered, "Sometimes, overreacting brings a sense of tranquility." I let go of the distractions, placing my phone aside, and allowed myself to lean against the railing, feeling the world around me. Harper's laughter lingered in my mind, and a soft smile graced my lips as I savored each sip. This was what I had longed for, not the grand gestures, not the unspoken gratitude, but this, a day that belonged to me, a cherished memory, effortlessly woven into my heart. I felt no regret in my departure, nor in my choice to remain. I savored the last sip of wine, the cool glass resting gently in my hand, before stepping inside. The bed welcomed me as I settled in, the sheets embracing my skin with a gentle softness. Sleep enveloped me swiftly, and my dreams drifted to the sea, far from home, distant from them. Only the gentle waves and the vast, inviting sky filled my mind. I awoke on my final day in Santorini, the sun already high in the sky, pouring through the villa's windows as if it were gently coaxing me to embrace the day ahead. I had drifted into a profound slumber, the kind that rejuvenates the spirit and awakens a sense of renewal. As the evening approached, my flight home lingered in my thoughts. I could have filled the day with packing and fretting over the unknowns awaiting me, but instead, I chose to embrace the moment. I brewed a cup of coffee, carried it to the balcony, and stood there, mesmerized by the way the sea glimmered in the gentle embrace of the morning light. 9 days here, and I had transformed from the man who had stepped off that plane, carrying hurt and anger, fleeing from a guest list that bore no trace of my name. In that moment, I felt grounded, as if I had created something profound in this space, something beyond their reach. I savored the last sip of my coffee, then set out on a hike, wanting to embrace the island's beauty one final time before my departure. I slipped on my sandals, took a refreshing bottle of water, and ventured out, tracing a path along the majestic cliffs. The journey was challenging, meandering through rugged stones and wild underbrush, the warmth of the sun embracing my skin. I moved with purpose, my breath calm, savoring the warmth in my legs and embracing the sensation. The panorama unfolded before me, an endless expanse of azure water, whitewashed homes nestled against the hills. As I settled onto a smooth stone, gently brushing the perspiration from my brow, the gentle vibration of my phone stirred in my pocket, prompting me to retrieve it with a sense of anticipation. Emma once more, another call that slipped away, the third time this week. I found myself silent, letting the voicemails from her and Olivia accumulate, untouched and unheard. I gazed at her name illuminated on the screen, then gently switched the phone off. I felt unprepared, still in the midst of my own journey. I returned to the villa by noon, indulging in a refreshing shower before taking my time to pack. I carefully folded my shirts, gently tucking my sandals into the bag, savoring each moment. Recently, I learned from Sophia that Olivia had taken up residence at Aunt Noelle's, creating some distance, whatever that might imply. Emma continued to reach out, her calls and messages persistent, yet I felt no obligation to respond. I settled onto the bed, my bag securely zipped, and left her a single voicemail, composed and steady. When you feel ready to converse as a daughter rather than a public relations challenge, just reach out. That was the moment. I ended the call, gathered my belongings, and made my way to the exit, where the taxi awaited to carry me to the airport. The journey back felt endless, yet I found a certain comfort in it. I gazed at the clouds drifting past the window, the landscape below becoming a distant memory, and a gentle sense of empowerment washed over me, as if I had reclaimed a piece of myself from the vastness beyond. As I touched down, the air wrapped around me, crisp and invigorating. I navigated the shadows on my drive home, stepping into a quiet house that felt achingly vacant upon my arrival. Olivia's belongings had vanished, her coats, her shoes, the little mess she often left on the counter. It didn't evoke a sense of loneliness. Rather, it brought a refreshing clarity. I let my bag slip from my grasp, filled a glass with cool water, and lingered in the kitchen, enveloped by a heavy silence. The following day, I unearthed my old wedding suit, the very one I had envisioned wearing for Emma, carefully pressed and hung with anticipation months prior. It weighed in my hands, reminiscent of a past I was ready to release. I drove it to a charity shop downtown, offered it with a subtle nod, and stepped out feeling unburdened. Upon returning home, I discovered a flyer nestled in the mailbox, an invitation from a group of local adventurers who gathered on weekends to explore the enchanting trails. I dialed the number, eagerly signed up for the next opportunity, and gently noted it on my calendar. That evening, I prepared a meal for myself, a steak, uncomplicated, just as I preferred, and sat at the table, free from distractions, savoring the moment with only the food for company. I reflected on the wedding, the warmth of James's tales, the melody of Rose's laughter, and how everything unraveled in such a poignant way. I felt completely attuned to every moment. They experienced their whirlwind, their moments of disarray, while I embraced my own. 9 days filled with warmth, waves, and tranquility. If they believed I was being overly dramatic, so be it. I was not returning to the person I once was, the one who lingered in the shadows, hoping to be noticed, who mended their chaos and accepted their indifference. I washed the dishes, taking my time, the warm water enveloping my hands gently. The house belonged to me now, a space that was solely my own, no longer shared with them. I slipped into bed early, the cool sheets embracing me, and drifted into a dreamless slumber. The following morning, I stirred awake to the gentle sound of rain caressing the windows, a soft and rhythmic embrace. I brewed a cup of coffee, settled beside the window, and observed the gentle descent of the rain. Perhaps Emma would reach out once more. Olivia may arrive, her bags in tow, hoping for my embrace once more. Yet, my heart was not in anticipation of their arrival. I embraced my hikes, relished the quiet, and cherished my existence. They had misjudged my strength, and I found a certain peace in that realization. I had stepped into the light, no longer just a silent observer. I was the entire narrative, filled with depth and allure.